my credit card off because I found out that Towanda has been using my credit card to pay her phone bill.
My phone bill?
It's official. The Fed just became aware of Towanda Braxton. According to people close to the FBI's Atlanta field office, Towanda's latest bankruptcy case involved more than just poor financial management. Following the discovery of fresh papers connecting unreported income and property transfers, it is being investigated as possible bankruptcy fraud. When the breach initially surfaced, I recall browsing social media sites. Tamar Braxton was being tagged by everyone who wanted to know if she had given the feds a tip. To be honest, the timing seemed far too convenient. When showing them their receipts, a fan placed it flawlessly. You no longer believe that Tamar Braxton is insane. She was mentioned as a creditor by her sister. It was a gift lie. Overnight, that one post became viral. The 2019 Chapter 7 file, in which Towanda claimed Tamar owed $35,000 a loan Towanda maintains was a gift, was already being examined by the government by morning. However, investigators now claim that a single line on a bankruptcy form may constitute a false declaration, which is illegal under Section 18 U.S.C. 152. This is when things get crazy. There was more to the warrant than just her bank account. According to insiders, Towanda may have transferred property in Georgia to her husband's name in order to conceal assets from the trustee. Tamar apparently made a down payment on the same house, which she brought up to Towanda on television. And take this. Tamar openly stated, "I know where you live because I paid the down payment," during an old Braxton Family Values taping.
I know where you live because I put down your down payment.
You sure did. Thank you so much for
And
that.
now that
Thank
you
you
got
so
this
much
little
for the gift.
accident, give me my money back. That was not a
Promise
gift.
to God, yes it was, but it's
No, you
okay.
didn't.
Fans now believe that Sister Shade wasn't the only one who said that. It was proof, because the FBI apparently demanded credit line records associated with that exact address shortly after that aired. That's how the suspected phone bill fraud was discovered. According to our inside sources who have been following the issue, the finest way to describe it was by one fan. "So nasty, paying a $35,000 home loan and 6 phone lines for a full year, over a period of 4 years? I would never talk to you again. Girl." I initially believed that people were simply being dirty. However, things start to make sense when you see that the FBI's case actually relates to long-term recurrent phone service costs that are registered under Tamar's name. What appeared to be a family argument could have been a fraudulent paper trail. This isn't even Towanda's first run-in with the law, which is frightening. If you look into her past, you'll find that she was arrested in Atlanta in 2005 for theft by receiving and forgery. The FBI seems to have remembered the old accusation, even though it quietly disappeared. The subject that is currently dividing the fans is whether or not Tamar reported her own sister, because the federal government requires receipts before moving further. Someone has to turn over those 2019 bank statements, and you begin to question if this was self-defense or sibling retaliation when you see Tamar's name trending alongside the FBI witness once more. However, there is much to consider before drawing any conclusions, particularly on how Towanda reportedly forced Tamar and even Tony into her financial predicament without their will. One name began to circulate in the streets shortly after Towanda's arrest made headlines on blogs: Tamar Braxton. It wasn't just idle rumors either. The timeline's somewhat flawless alignment caught people's attention. Tamar wrote a series of now-deleted cryptic tweets only days before the federal audit supposedly hit Towanda's file, which supporters now claim sounded like she was tired of her sister's falsehoods. Recall that in 2019, TMZ verified that Towanda owed Tamar $35,000, which Towanda claimed was a gift but Tamar referred to as a personal debt. The FBI's fraud case now revolves around that one disparity. Because it is a fraudulent declaration under bankruptcy law to classify family debt as a gift or to misstate your liabilities. When questioned by detectives, Tamar apparently produced proof of financial transfers, which is the part that has fans going crazy. An insider with knowledge of the Braxton camp claims that Tamar's lawyers verified she had financial records proving the funds were sent to Towanda's escrow account for a down payment on a house. Do you recall the moment Tamar said, "I know where you live because I paid the down payment," on camera? That intensity wasn't limited to petty reality TV. As it happens, that line may have been actual proof. This may also account for Towanda's purported transfer of her Georgia home into her husband's name shortly after filing for bankruptcy. Because, as you all know, when you start transferring assets in the middle of a lawsuit, the feds don't play. This is how the concealing of property clause is used to bag people. However, the unearthed video from Braxton Family Values that showed Tamar addressing Towanda regarding a cease and desist letter she never got sounded particularly strange. "I know where you live because I paid the down payment," Tamar bluntly informed her. "For years, you have been robbing me." "Girl, you stole Tony's man," Towanda retorted. "Don't even begin with me."
What you steal?
Stealing and helping?
But what you steal?
I don't steal anything.
You don't?
What I stole?
You stole men.
Who's the man that I stole?
Tony's.
After the episode aired, Fans connected earlier allegations about Tamar having an affair with Carrie Lewis, Tony's ex-husband, and even Michael Malden, Jermaine Dupri's father. The phrase changed everything. Suddenly, there was more to the Braxton sister turmoil than just debt. It turned into a story of financial and emotional betrayal. Indeed, the family's once famous reality TV receipts could potentially be used as federal evidence, although Tamar's team did not explicitly denounce her sister. According to an insider, they did cooperate fully when questioned and provided the FBI with all the invoices they requested. The innocent witness story is still unpopular on social media. Tamar is not perfect by far, but Towanda telling Tony to call the police and press charges is a little extreme, a fan tweeted. The Braxtons only unite when the cameras roll, as even Tamar made clear. It's war off camera.
I'm not supposed to say anything. The only thing that brings us together is the cameras.
It's amazing how reality TV and real life began to merge into a single, comprehensive study. Every old episode, every unaired disagreement, and every caustic that was a gift statement suddenly seems like a possible lead in a fraud investigation. However, the depth of the betrayal was what truly made this situation feel gloomy, not the money. Fans believe that Tamar worked with the FBI in order to preserve her reputation before she became embroiled in the same legal scandal. One old allegation regarding Towanda stealing her own mother's SSI check, which came directly from Tony Braxton's former secretary, who revealed it on his podcast back in 2020, reappeared by the time the news of her arrest reached every gossip site. This story changed everything. He also referred to Towanda as evil for allegedly stealing Evelyn's social security check. I don't know what to say to someone who is so evil and thirsty when they can steal SSI checks. And that's not all. According to reports, Towanda was detained for forgery and theft by receiving in Atlanta in 2005. This makes the current FBI investigation appear more like a pattern than a misunderstanding. If you've been watching Braxton Family Values since the first few seasons, you are already aware of their ongoing financial difficulties. However, the impact is more serious than a disagreement between sisters this time, because the entire Braxton heritage begins to fall apart from the inside out when you combine federal fraud charges with decades of family distrust. Even Tony, who was always the one to mediate conflicts, recently made news with a viral video in which she called to cancel Towanda's event.
I can't wait to see it.
I won't be able to be there. That's why I was calling you.
That made me very sad.
I know.
Fans claim that distance was more important at that moment than scheduling. Tony has been openly distancing herself, perhaps to shield her wealth and reputation from whatever is happening to Towanda. And really, who was to blame? The last thing you want when the FBI's financial crimes team is investigating your family is for your personal accounts to be uncovered. The element that most affected me, though, was how the sisters' quiet became a tactic. When the news broke, Trina used to share sisterhood hashtags or family selfies, but now she doesn't say a word or even repost. That quiet spoke it all. Additionally, there are fans that connect dots online that are too close to be comfortable. So Tony thinks it's alright to help out the family, even if it means they are stealing from you, someone said. 6 phone lines were allegedly charged over 4 years, and it comes from the same individual who said she shouldn't have to pay them to do background music. You see, the Braxton brand was founded on image and loyalty rather than money. So that's where things become complicated. However, every time they attempt to unite, a financial issue splits them apart. From Tony's tax liens to Tracy's death to Tamar's public mental health struggles, it seems like the true story emerges every time the cameras stop. Even though Towanda hasn't been active on the internet since the arrest, court observers spotted a significant element in her filings. She declared $277,000 in assets, but $547,000 in liabilities, including a $50,000 Tesla that she was purportedly still driving on the show. Someone with $150 in their account shouldn't be driving a $50,000 Tesla, said one fan, who got it exactly right. There's a problem. Insiders claim that if Towanda is found guilty of faking financial statements, she may spend up to 5 years in prison because the federal government is currently examining everything from phone bills to property records. Even though Tamar's camp hasn't made an official statement, sometimes you have to let the facts speak for themselves. The internet went crazy over that alone because it could be one of the worst family betrayals in reality TV history if it turns out that Tamar was the one who surreptitiously provided material to the FBI. It doesn't end here though, since there is still another twist that links Towanda's spouse, Tony's quiet, and a few dubious offshore payments to what insiders are now referring to as a multi-year concealment plot. People believed it was over when they learned that Towanda's business account had supposedly been frozen by the FBI. However, that was only the beginning. Insiders said that investigators discovered that a portion of her cosmetics company's earnings had been transferred through a consulting business in the name of her new husband, who is now the legal owner of their Georgia property. She likely believed the action would safeguard their possessions, but it apparently backfired severely. The transfer is now being investigated by federal authorities as an intent to conceal. Here's where things get murky. Toni Braxton allegedly quietly removed her name from all joint Braxton family endeavors months ago, according to those close to her team. Tamar hasn't made many public remarks in the interim, but those old photos of Towanda's bridal shower, the one with the Bridgerton theme, were what really moved fans. Tamar and Toni failed to appear.
Remember Toni said she was going to do the bridal shower? Mm-hmm. She's not doing the bridal shower. Somebody else is making sure everything is right for the bridal shower. I mean, I just thought that everybody would be, you know what I'm saying, happy and excited and wanting to be a part of it and want to be involved, but I'm not getting any of that, and that makes me sad.
Yeah.
People initially dismissed it as petty sibling drama, but now it seems like they were already pulling apart since Towanda's household account received a back tax warning from the IRS at that same time, which led to the initial round of federal scrutiny. Some of you may recall that the cameras are the only thing that unites them, and at this moment, it couldn't feel more true. Once the epitome of sisterhood ideals, the Braxtons are now entangled in federal fraud, treachery, and internet mayhem. According to insiders, if Towanda cooperates and divulges information about others who profited from the fake files, her next court hearing may involve a plea agreement. Translation: this could get worse if Tamar's funds or Toni's assets even come into contact with those accounts. According to reports, Towanda is disputing everything. However, at this moment, quiet sounds more like a tactic than a sign of strength. That's when it dawned on me. Money is not the only issue here. It has to do with legacy. The Braxtons, a group of 6 sisters who sang about love, religion, and unity, were once America's most admired R&B family. However, the same thing that kept them shining, their mutual celebrity, may suddenly prove to be their undoing. The most absurd thing, to be honest, is that this may not even be finished. Our insiders claim that the FBI's case file contains references to other family-related financial accounts that are still being investigated. If Tamar and Toni are mentioned anywhere in those financial records, they may be the next people to be questioned. The Braxton name may never recover if such occurs. A family empire established on talent, ripped apart by money, and ended by betrayal is the kind of demise that no reality program could ever write.